All right, guys, welcome to Onelife Podcast. Here with Leland with the Willful Warrior. Thank you for being here. Very excited to talk to you.
Yeah, same.
So how do we summarize what you do? You do breath work?
Yeah.
What is breath work?
Absolutely.
You keep hearing these things. How long is it? I got so many questions for you.
Yeah.
So what is breath work?
Thanks for having me on. And yeah, there's so many different types of breath work out there. And of course, you hear breath work from so many people, but there's so many different types. So you got the holotropic side of things.
I didn't know that.
Which is that's where you're breathing heavy and you're breathing hot, and you've probably been to some of those. But it's continual breath that'll
is
really
that like Wim Hof type?
It's similar, yeah.
Okay.
So Wim Hof uses that. There's Tumo style breathing. A lot of us breath workers, there's a little holotropic breath work inside of the Willful Warrior as well.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got so many different types. With the type that we work off of, we work mainly in what's called intermittent hypoxia. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so I know it's and I nerd out on this stuff all the time, but yeah, so intermittent hypoxia basically is the way of breathing that's going to reduce the carbon dioxide. It temporarily reduces the oxygen in that moment, but there's also another key piece to that, and it's the elevation of your nitric oxide, 3 different types.
Okay.
So that's what we work through. It's an episodic type of breath. You know, I get you to breathe, and then you're going to hold, and then you rest. And in that moment, that creates and activates certain gene expression inside of the body, which creates proteins and all these amazing neurochemicals.
There's so many things I want to touch on. And I'm struggling to work out where we start.
It's a tough one.
The whole breath work, right? It seems like Wim Hof, there's a few people, it's kind of make it like cool. It's kind of social media's help with the awareness.
Yeah.
Where does it start? I'm guessing it goes back a long way.
It does. That's like the epic question, because no matter who you've learned from, you have probably seen some of that work thousands of years ago. Qigong, yoga. And
in a lot of martial arts and religions.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to see that in all there. And there's always that debate of who was first, yoga or Qigong, but thousands of years, easily 3,000 to 5,000 years old.
Gotcha.
Some of these
and what kind of like developed it? What made it evolve?
Yeah, so they wanted to find higher states of consciousness, and of course, meditation is like one of the biggest ways that you can sit and completely shift your vibrational energy.
Yeah.
Right, but it's also advanced. Or sometimes it's not as easy to get into. So breath was always that entry vector. Breath was always that way to change the state of the body to allow you to sit in deeper states of meditation.
Because that's what when I meditate, I focus on my breathing, and that's what gets me relaxed. And
boom, the masters knew that.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah. So they would teach you these really special breaths, and the next thing you know, you're off on another planet. You know, you're in another galaxy from breath work.
I had to meditate for a couple of days. I did it last night, and I couldn't relax. And I was like, okay, breathing. And before I know it, I was good. But it was literally being aware of my breathing and my breaths. So okay. So that's where it started, and it's kind of evolved, and it's kind of like martial arts, right? It's different directions. People have taken different ways to different things. Why is it so important? Why do you teach it? What are the benefits of it?
Yeah, epic questions. So and you're right, there's so many different forms, and it's cool because all of them serve a purpose, right? So with breath work, one of the biggest changes that you're going to make inside of the body is that vibrational change. Everything in the universe is based on frequency, energy, and vibration. So of course, when you can change that vibration of the body, change the vibration of the brain, and it's easier to enter those more relaxed states of being.
Okay.
And thereby, you're also making chemical shifts as well. That's the cool part. With breath work, you're making these biochemical shifts, moving from stress hormones to the relaxed, more happy hormones, which is why when you focus on your breath, you can sit still for longer, because now the body isn't super activated. You know what I mean?
Is this how is this stuff tested, and how do you know like fact from fiction?
No, it's again epic question. So there's been some of the greats out there, like Dr. Jack Feldman, who is
he's still alive?
Yeah.
These I'll have to look him up.
He is you could look at him as the godfather of breath, essentially.
Okay, I'll check
He's one of the people that found that we have this complex or collection of nerves called the pre-Boxinger complex in our brainstem. And that's what controls the rhythm of our breath.
Really?
So when we get stressed out, we move to naturally shorter, rapid breaths, right? Because the body's pumping blood to your hands and your feet, ready to run from the bear.
Like when you jump in the cold water.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's That's like that state, and that changes based on breath. So you can study Dr. Jack Feldman.
Okay.
Some of the greats like Gordon Mitchell down at University of Florida is the one that found that certain genes are activated, which are called trophic factors, which create these very special proteins inside of the body that create cell survival. So all of these guys have been doing research on this for, well into a decade. That's
when you say cell survival, you mean like the telomeres on the DNA?
That's the piece. Of course, the more that it can
Stop
separate.
It from shortening.
Yeah, exactly. So the longer the telomeres are, the more that cell can replicate and replicate.
Because that's what happens when we age, right?
Exactly.
They get shorter
and shorter, so the cells can't actually replicate.
So breath work is contributing to that.
It does.
That's amazing.
It does. It increases trophic factors all across the brain. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's nuts. So what got you into it? Like,
oh man, that's a story and a half.
I'm just starting to ease into it.
Yeah,
but I mean, it seems like you've been on it for a long time.
For a little over 20 years.
Have
now.
you really?
Yeah.
How old are you now? If you don't mind me asking.
So 20 years ago, 1999, came back from the Yugoslavia war. I'm a combat veteran.
Oh, you really? Okay.
Yeah. So we came back from the Kosovo conflict that was over there, Operation Anvil. We were doing our stupid adrenaline junkie thing when we come back, and I suffered a neck injury from a boating accident. I was actually dead for 3 minutes and 48 seconds. They had to revive me on the shore, and I was paralyzed from the neck down.
Wait, really?
Yeah, so I woke up in the ambulance with this horse collar on my friggin' neck at the age of 19.
I was going to say 19.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was just around the corner from hitting my 20th birthday. And that was it. And it just took me right out. Man. So thankfully, though, my physical therapist was a yogi. So he's like, don't worry, we're going to do these really cool breaths while we're working on all this, this other stuff. And that's what hooked me. I was hooked once I felt the little whoop down the brachial plexus area right here where all these nerves are. As soon as I felt little whoop from doing breath work, I was like, oh my God, okay, I can heal this. I can take care of this.
So tell me, describe that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're quadriplegic.
Yeah.
And then you were focusing on breath work.
Yeah.
And what happened? How long did it take? What happened exactly?
It took about 2 weeks to feel most of my upper body. I couldn't really get fine motor skills down, fingers and all, but I could at least move hands, move arms. I could feel things in the upper body, and that was all due to breath within 2.5 weeks.
I got a question. What if you were not to do the breath work? How do you know the difference, whether it helped or not?
That's a great question. Of course, the feeling that you get after doing the breath work, and I'm sure you might have felt this in some of your breath work as well, is that chill that travels down throughout the entire body. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the signal that you have created alkalinity inside the body. You've made an actual biochemical shift.
Okay, so you kind of felt that.
Exactly.
That's the tricky one. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's hard without doing two different comparisons to really know.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm not dissing what you're saying, but I'm also like,
I get it.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 weeks and you started to feel, what were you feeling?
It was amazing. So it was like something, you know how you've sat on your foot or sat on your leg and it comes back?
Numb and,
it's kind of at a point, there were certain points when stuff was coming back where it's like, it almost hurts. Like, it's coming back. It feels good. It's coming back. You're happy it's coming back. But it's the same thing when your leg comes back. It's like pins and needles everywhere. So it was kind of interesting.
Kind of like from the top up?
Yeah, exactly. So, it kind of moved its way down, started up in the shoulders and then kind of traveled down through the body over the course of me stretching and doing this breath work.
Is this something that's being taught? Like, there's a lot of people out there who are in similar circumstances.
There are some places out there that work with intermittent hypoxia. There are also some places that teach different breath types as well that do help people, but there's really no solid focus, which is where we come in. That's one of the things that we're really focusing on, and we're going to start doing studies on by the end of summer this year.
Okay.
So we're going to actually start doing studies with some of our quadriplegics and paraplegics that I work with now, some of them are finding motion in things that they haven't moved.
I was going to say, have you met other people who have had like the same type of recovery you have?
There's been folks that have had the same type of recovery that I have had, or just maybe a little have just started. One of them is a 19-year-old who's a paraplegic and is now stomping his knee after about a month of doing breath work.
I thought like it's a spinal injury and it's nerve damage. How does that?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
That's an epic question again. So you have two different types of spinal injuries. One is called a complete injury. And that's where you have actually snapped the spinal cord itself.
Okay, where it's been severed.
Yeah, it's been severed. There's not much that can be done for that.
That's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah. There was no complete sever. It was an incomplete is what it's called, an incomplete. So a lot of these folks have had some sort of spinal compression, which is like
a car accident or something.
Exactly, which is like compressing the spinal cord.
Okay.
So it doesn't snap, but it damages that area.
There's enough pressure and damage to,
Exactly. Will at least shut things down temporarily and create signal degradation.
So would, like with flexibility and motion, would that help that as well? Like yoga, things like that?
Yeah, that's what we've noticed. And a lot of folks that are going through some of that physical therapy, whether at Driven or other places, are noticing some huge changes from breath work and their stretching. So they're doing the yoga piece, they're doing the stretching piece. It's like they're feeding all aspects of the body. Okay. And they notice really, really big changes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do the breath work, you start to recover.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing you just got hooked from there.
Yeah, I was hooked, of course. Hooked from there. It took me about 2 years to fully come all the way back, get to the point where I wasn't completely wobbly. And
was that motivating though? That must have been like knowing every day you're chipping away and you know it's doing good.
Yeah, it was. It was for sure. Knowing that there was something else that I could get back.
Yeah, how far? Yeah. And you might be like, I got this. Now what can I get? Like, that's got to be incredible.
Yeah, it was. It kept me going for quite a while. So that was one of the things. I dug in like a tick, of course, after finding that out. Like you said, getting every little piece back. And then it continued from there, even when I went through that messy middle that we all go through.
What's the messy middle?
So the messy middle is basically when you look at like Buddhists, if you look at a Buddhist unilome, they don't look at life as this linear, moving from one straight line from growth or struggle and challenge to growth. It's this whole cha-cha-cha, basically. So, of course, with a lot of the stress from combat and stuff when we came back, even after finding out how to walk again, I fell into drugs. I fell into alcohol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the mental stress, that mental component hadn't landed on me just yet. I used everything in a physical sense, got myself back to walking again.
So is the stress from the accident, the stress of the war, or stress from both?
All of that.
That's some pretty heavy stuff at 19.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're what, 43, 44?
43, yeah.
Okay, we're the same age.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I didn't go through that at 19.
Yeah.
I was in the surf, chasing girls, whatnot. Okay, so you had this ridiculous amount of stress at that age.
Yeah, exactly.
And that led you down to that. And I hear this a lot on this podcast, certain things. So can breathwork work with PTSD?
Absolutely.
I'm guessing it can.
Oh my God, in such a huge way. My favorite ones to work with are my warriors. We've got now hundreds of Army and Marine veterans that are doing the welcome home method and loving it.
When they come back from duty?
Yeah, when they come back from duty, some of them that are discovering it while they're active duty, which is huge. So we're trying to get it in and instituted with active duty as well. So it's like, let's start handling this stuff now before you get out and run through the hole like everybody naturally does.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? You're shifting to a whole new way of life. You're inevitably going to have some challenges. So
is Jocko into breathwork?
Who's that?
Jocko. Jocko? He's like the special forces. He's the podcaster.
Oh, you know what? I haven't actually met him myself, but I'm sure he
seems to have every good habit under the sun.
I bet you he does.
I bet he does.
I've
never heard him talk about it.
Yeah, it's probably it's part of his personal practice or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what type of things are we with? We're looking at like serious injuries, like what you've got. We're looking at PTSD.
Yeah.
What other things is it contributing to?
Absolutely.
Or what isn't it contributing to?
So that's the greatest question there's really nothing that it's not contributing to from what we notice. And we have a few people that are on board right now and practicing, which will be part of our studies moving forward. But we have diabetic patients. We have Parkinson's. All of these folks are noticing Parkinson's patients are noticing balance increase.
Really?
Their tremors are going down the more that they do this breath work, because it's creating special neuromodulations that travel through your nervous system.
If it's so beneficial, why don't we do it automatically?
That's a really great question. So of course, whenever we deal with challenge, whenever we deal with stress, that natural part inside of our brainstem, which is that
animalistic
sense, right? That's where the survival instinct.
Gotcha. So that's getting ahead of us.
Exactly. That gets way ahead of us, because the body above anything is a survival expert.
And does that tie into, it's true, like most of us are mouth breathing, we're not breathing correct. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. 9 out of 10 people
It's 9 out of 10, is it?
Yeah, it's 9 out of 10. When they do any type of study where they're just watching people in their resting breath state, 9 out of 10 people breathe from their upper chest and shoulders, which is why there's so much neck tension. There's so much anxiety, because now these are shorter, more rapid breaths, right? Your lungs can't work by themselves. So it all depends on that location of where you're breathing from, which is why we teach down here.
And that means a higher heart rate.
Exactly, yeah. Higher breathing, higher heart rate.
Is that contributing to Parkinson's and more predominant diseases too?
Pretty much, yeah. Anything you can name, because now you're dealing with autoimmune deficiencies.
So it's not just the diet, it's where do we screw up our breathing? Shouldn't it be instinctual that we breathe correctly?
It should be, right? And funny enough, it is. It's just we're not being taught the tools that older cultures used to be taught.
Okay.
Right? So it's like
we're getting too busy.
Exactly. We get busy, we get distracted. We're a culture of distractions now. Everything on that phone that I carry around with me is meant to pull me out of what I'm doing now and focus on something that I should be doing, or something I'm doing in the future, or paying attention to something somebody else is doing. So it's just this constant straight distraction from everything else. So it's easy for us to forget natural breathing patterns. But if you look at babies, we naturally know it's in there.
So babies are breathing correctly?
Yeah, because they breathe from the belly to the chest and up. Yeah.
At what age are they losing it?
You figure it's once they become toddlers, right? Okay, once they move into those like 2 years plus.
Is it really?
And they're moving around, what are they doing? They're sponges. They're copying us. They're following us.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they go from a very different state all the way through a young childhood. And then of course, once they move into the preteen era, and all that stuff. That's fascinating.
Do animals breathe correctly?
Yeah. And animals, of course, have different systems. Many of them have different systems. Their lungs are very similar. But if you look at animals, most animals will do that natural shaking thing, which is called a somatic-based response.
Okay.
So, and we have that as well. We'll start to shake as well. It's just we have to get back into the breath. But yeah, if you watch animals, they'll do the same thing. They'll use breathing to either force a response like voluntary vomiting or whatever they need to do to get past what they're doing.
And even under stress or a fight, like a tiger or something, is going to still breathe correctly.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you watch them afterwards and they'll just shake it right off and go right back to normal.
I want to touch on, I've done cold showers for years, but I've been doing the ice plunges lately.
Yeah.
My breathing has increased dramatically. It's absolutely insane. I'm sitting there and I'm breathing in. I'm taking 3-4 times as much oxygen. I feel like I'm getting it from a lot lower. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Then when I'm doing Muay Thai, I'm training my recovery, my ability to breathe is... So cold ties into breathing, I'm guessing.
Absolutely does.
It's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, it's huge because you're toning the vagal nerve system, right? Which is that backdoor nerve system, basically. So the more you can tune that and tone the vagal nerve system, the more you naturally activate that parasympathetic response during moments when you're in the cold, and you know for sure you're like, woo, when you hit it, when you hit that first one. But yeah, the breathing starts to become deeper, and that becomes the natural response of the body. So you're literally, what you're doing is you're programming and elevating what's called your BIC, your breathing IQ. So the more you elevate your breathing IQ, you are tuning into the natural response of the body.
So where I'm at now, there's a long way to go. That's exciting.
Yeah, you've got something to build on, right?
Yeah,
but the cool part is you're already at the point where you're training your body to naturally hit the breath whenever you hit stressful points, like in the cold water training. So yeah,
so the fight training is going to be the same.
Exactly.
Gym's going to be the same.
Exactly.
But what I find, even when I'm driving, I'll sit there talking to you, I'll be like, and I breathe.
There you go.
And I'm like, what, have I not been breathing for 43 years of my life? Like,
pretty much.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not an unhealthy, unfit person, but I'm like, what have I been doing? Like, and I tried the mouth tape the other day while I was sleeping. That was amazing.
I love it.
That was so. Do you recommend that? Do you suggest that?
You can. The mouth tape is definitely it steps it up a notch. That may be something after getting your feet underneath you with some of the breath.
Don't do it that
Yeah,
long.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like don't go to level 3 right away.
Yeah.
Start with level 1 and level 2.
I just found myself. I was fine. I was like, oh, my mouth tape shot's gonna be weird, but I was relaxed and I felt very, very calm that night. And I can't really explain it.
It's crazy, right? It's because now you're forcing the body to breathe through the process that's going to soothe and calm and keep everything where it needs to be. So yeah, it's kind of funny whenever you think of it. Like you would think that you would freak out, of course.
Yeah, not being able to breathe.
Yeah.
But you breathe better than ever.
Exactly. It just knocks you right into this very restful, peaceful way of being.
That's yeah. I had to touch on that. So you're teaching private.
Yeah.
You're doing groups. The goal is to do bigger and bigger groups.
Yes.
What type of people are you teaching? Like, who are coming to you?
So right now, I do a lot of work with the Dr. Joe Dispenza community. So he's one of my mentors.
Okay.
And I have been around so many of them that, of course, they're already well into the meditation. So that whole community has just loved and attached to.
Okay, so they're doing the meditation, and now they're like, "Oh, this is."
It's like they see the peanut butter to the jelly now. You know what I mean? It's like the two just go together perfectly.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're loving it. But of course, the two main people that I'm working with now or wanting to work with are veterans, and pretty much anybody that's dealing with any type of injury or autoimmune deficiency. Anyone that's looking to make a shift in their life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what about high performance people, like entrepreneurs, people trying to be the best version of themselves?
Yeah.
Is that something you would recommend?
Absolutely.
And if so, why?
Yeah. We actually have a corporate wellness side of the Willful Warrior as well. And it's what could you do with reduced stress and increased vitality and energy as a corporate as a corporate C executive, like what could I do with reduced stress, more time, and more focused clarity on vision and stuff like that. So same with athletes. Like what could I do with quicker recovery, like you're talking about
at my basic level.
right. So
so you could be like Olympic athletes, NFL, you could be like so is there anyone else out there really doing what you do as far as like the veterans, the athletes,
there's a few of us out there that are working with veterans and some athletes. I don't think, there are some corporate folks, of course, that are out there as well, but I don't think they're tying it all together, which is what we really want to do. We just want to serve everybody and help everybody recognize, whether you're the corporate type, whether you're the athlete or the veteran, this will serve you in whatever way you need it to.
You ever done jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
You know what it sucks to have someone on top of you and you can't get them off? I couldn't imagine the benefit of better breathing when you're getting your ass kicked.
Yes, huge.
Like UFC would be a huge benefit.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would love to work with some more fighters just to like watch. One of our guys, actually, Josh Quinlan, he has been doing the breath work for months and months and months and stepped onto the scene through the Contender series and just lit it up.
What's the feedback been like from him?
The breath work just tunes him in. There's moments, he'll even do it during. There's been a couple of fights where we've heard him like humming or doing like the throat singing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he'll start like he's getting a little stressed out in the fight, so he'll do the breath again to focus himself back in, and he comes right back in.
Wow.
It was epic.
So you could even do it before a fight or before a game or something.
That's
just
exactly
to
what he does.
Yeah. That's just got my mind just blown. That's amazing. What type of pushback do you get on this? Do you get people like, oh, this is fake, this is BS, this is...
Haven't really gotten any of that, of course.
Only people have... It's kind of like fasting, right? I fast a lot. A lot of people push back on fasting ones have never tried it.
Yes,
so
exactly.
you probably find the same thing.
And there's like... it's more skepticism, but I get it. I totally get it. Once you try it, once somebody tries it, even myself back in the day before I found it with that injury that I had, if you were going to tell me that I could breathe and make all these changes, I'd be like, come on. Like for real, like I've been breathing my whole life.
That's the thing, right? I'm pretty sure I know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't dropped dead yet.
Right. So yeah, once people just get a shift of it, and I do something called 60 seconds to freedom. And within 60 seconds, you'll see people's faces. When they do it, it's just like bing, light bulb goes off. They're like, holy crap. Okay.
You mean you can convert someone in 60 seconds?
Yes.
What is that you do?
Yeah. So it's a very special breath type, of course, in and out through the nose. And it's something that you've probably experienced before. It's a holotropic type way of breathing. But what it's going to do is it's going to seriously kick down the stress response and kick up the oxytocin, which is the love hormone, the serotonin, which is like the happy hormone that we all create, and then dopamine. So all of those and endorphins elevate, which like anesthetizes the body. So it's all of that within 60 seconds.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like you're getting yourself a nice little internal drug infusion of all the really good stuff that our body produces within a minute.
That's crazy. So I mentioned we did breath work with Damon down the hill in Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it was, it must have gone for an hour. And afterwards I was like emotional, but I didn't want to cry, but I didn't want to smile. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I felt really good. I felt amazing. My body felt amazing. Yeah. I was at such a, at peace.
Yeah.
I can't really describe. I wish I could describe it. And everyone there is like, I don't know really how to describe this. I feel how do you describe that feeling? Like,
oh my goodness.
Because you see it on so many different levels.
Yeah. Yeah. And I describe it as just that being, like that isness state, right? Just isness. It's like, have you ever just sat there and there's not a thought in your mind, there's not a feeling on you, just contentment and happiness and peace, like all wrapped into one. So yeah, I know exactly.
That's a good way. I thought you'd be able to explain it, but I was just like, I did the float tank recently, and that was similar. That was a similar type of state, but definitely the breath work is like,
yeah,
because you could be laying on a hard floor and you are just good.
Yeah, you're on a journey.
Yeah. So is somebody looking to get into this stuff, where do they start? What type of guidance? Where do you recommend they go?
Yeah. So you can check out, we have our YouTube where we have a couple of free offerings on there for people to try out.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we have our website and we have all of our memberships, but we want everybody to be able to experience it just so they can get that light bulb moment for themselves.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the practices we have on our YouTube is an hour long, and it's the SCI, spinal cord injury and neurological disorder practice.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
gotcha.
So it's for the folks with spinal cord injuries.
That's one that you did.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, autoimmune deficiencies, you name it. That helps anything. Okay. Even if you don't have an injury, it'll take you obviously on a higher level the more you do it, kind of thing.
So my question is, there's a lot of things they say to do on a daily basis. Yeah. Is this something you should do on a daily basis? If so, for how long? And whereas I like sustainable things, right? Yeah. Doing an hour a day, I know people aren't going to do that.
Sure.
So how long should they do it? Sure. When should they do it? And then what benefits are coming from doing that?
Yeah, no, absolutely epic questions. And we have 15-minute blasts for morning time and night.
Okay.
I would suggest, I do a 15 to 20 minute in the morning, 15 to 20 minute at night. And most of the time I'll do like a midday reset, 15 to 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I'll get something to eat or whatever else, and then I'll just go blast off for 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay.
So
if someone's going to pick one of them, would you suggest morning?
I would suggest morning. Yeah. Start your day off with that power. You know what I mean? Because you come like that mindset that you found. Start your day off like that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And would you suggest doing that before cold therapy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so before and during. You could do it during as well. So you could kind of double dip there, do it before, get yourself ready. And then while you're in the water, that's actually why some of those breath techniques were developed, so you can stay in cold therapy.
Okay.
And the Tibetan monks could be out in the snow.
So someone like me could actually do it in the cold. So I do a 5-minute plunge every day. So I could do like a little 5-minute thing in the water.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then what is that? What is that doing for you on a daily basis at such a small time?
Yeah, no, it's cool. So within 15 minutes, just a 15-minute practice, we'll send those neuromodulations, which are basically these bursts of frequencies up your peripheral nervous system, up your spinal column, up the vagal nervous system. And they last for almost 4 to 6 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like taking a pill for yourself. You've literally shifted the vibrational frequency of the whole body and the brain. You've created a biochemical shift inside of the body and the brain as well. And it lasts for 4 to 6 hours. You get this chill that runs through you, energy, like all of these things that happen. So the more that you do it, it has a cumulative effect. The more you do that, the easier it is to find that relaxed state of being throughout the day. Like you'll just start to notice, like you said, all of a sudden you'll go, out of nowhere. You know what I mean? You'll just naturally take a deep breath and settle in like, oh, where the hell did that come from?
It's funny, like from doing this podcast, I've had so many amazing conversations, I've created so many new habits for myself. Yeah. But I find my base level is now continually raising, where I'm so less likely to get stressed. I deal with things so much better. So like my base, like if someone else's base level's down here, mine's up here, and then you're sitting up here and on a permanent basis, right?
Right.
So I couldn't imagine how much better it gets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get a bad phone call or business, nothing really bothers you anymore.
Exactly.
Someone steals your wallet out of your car right now. You're like,
exactly.
It's not.
Yeah. In psychology, we call it shifting the fulcrum. Because it's where's your balance point constantly? Are you revving at 55, then 0 to 60 for you is going to be real quick. But if you're revving lower because you're doing the breath all the time, then that fulcrum point for you is more balanced. So if those things happen like you're talking about that are stressful moments, then you just come right back.
So someone high strung, someone with a bad temper, this is probably essential stuff, right?
Epic, yeah. Combat veteran. I used to be the rage freak and all that stuff. Yeah, so complete shift.
So somebody who snaps quickly. Yeah. Somebody who works for himself, who deals with a lot of crap. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And then what other, you mentioned energy. Are you getting clarity, things like that with as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you kind of give me some bullet points of...
Sure. Yeah, so when you're creating those neuromodulations, you're making shifts inside of the frequency of the brain as well, right? So we operate on the 5 main frequencies, which beta is the one we're in right now.
Yeah.
So that's one. We can also enter high beta during stressful points in time, which is more stressful. So of course, that's that person that's revving at 55. So when we do all of these breath practices, even short amounts every day, will make that cumulative effect to lower that as far as where you're riding inside of brain frequency. So you can ride more on the alpha side of things, which is the more relaxed state of being.
Okay.
Or even you find that flow state, which is the gamma, right? So that's right above high beta, but it's a super ordered and coherent pattern of brain frequency. And that's that flow state where it's like things just flow. I'm sure you found it before, no matter what you do,
here and there.
It just falls right off of you.
Here and there.
Yeah. So you find that state more often, either alpha, more relaxed, or gamma, where you're like super tuned in and flow state.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's okay. So you're at a better level at a base state.
Exactly.
Dealing with stress.
Yeah.
The ability to not act on emotion or
Instead
react.
of something dropping behind you.
You're in the car, you're not worried about things, someone cuts you off. But then when you're working, you're focused, you're working harder, you're focused more, you're getting more done.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty epic stuff. There's some practices we put binaural beats inside of that, which can only really be picked up by your brain, and it will help you shift in those frequencies as well as you're doing.
What do you mean by that exactly?
So you can create binaural frequencies at a certain rate. So like alpha and beta, right? So alpha is more inside of like 8 to 12 hertz. So I can send that frequency through your headsets while you're doing breath work.
Okay.
And your body is picking up those frequencies and it rides along those frequencies. It's really amazing stuff.
That's okay. This is fascinating stuff. Like, definitely stoked you're here.
Yeah.
The question was, you've helped a lot of people. Thousands of people, would you say?
Yeah. We've positively affected thousands of folks, and now this is such a huge shift for so many people. We want to bring it out to millions now because we see the help that it's had with our veterans, with injuries, like you name it.
That was my question, is what some of the standout things that you've benefited people with?
Yeah. So
like, you've got an amazing story yourself.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I mean, what have you done for people over the years?
Yeah. So we've got some of them who are now moving either legs that have not moved legs, moving arms that have not moved arms. Some of these folks have been quadriplegic for like 32 years.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Does it matter how long they've been like that?
No,
really.
That's great. That's what I'm noticing now.
That's nuts.
What matters is how fast that progression might happen for somebody. It may be different because they've been in that state for longer, but still, now we've got a 32-year quadriplegic who was told he would never heal again, telling me that he's feeling the pressure in his buttocks and that he's feeling tingles through his lower back and through his mid back.
And I know that doesn't sound like much for anybody, but if you can't feel anything,
nothing,
which is very hard to imagine,
right?
To feel anything is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. He's now said that he's had to shift or had somebody shift him in his chair because he was uncomfortable.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, how the hell were you uncomfortable? He's like, because the pressure in my butt and like my lower back it felt heavy.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's okay.
Wow.
It's the start of things waking up.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's,
what other things?
Oh my goodness. So one of our Parkinson's patients, don't mind me if I get a little emotional. It happens with some of these. It's just amazing. But he said that his tremors have gone to the point where they still happen, but they're rare and they're on occasion.
Really?
And one of the things with Parkinson's is your balance is always off. Everything inside of your inner ear is thrown.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they deal with a lack of clarity and focus mentally wise.
Oh, mentally as well.
Yeah, because it's affecting their whole neurological system. So of course there's just constant lack of focus and being aloof at times. So he's noticed just an amazing just burst of clarity. His tremors have gone down to the point where they're occasional.
And it's Parkinson's kind of like dementia and things, right? It continually gets worse.
It's progressive.
It doesn't ever stop, does it?
Right, it's progressive.
So to stop it or to reverse it is amazing.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to actually working with Alzheimer's patients and some dementia patients as well, because these activated genes create proteins in brain and spinal tissue.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen anything like that yet?
I haven't dealt with that personally myself,
That's...
but I'm excited to see that what we've, like the Parkinson's, our Parkinson's patient, like, oh my God, just that was huge. So now I'm excited to work with some folks that it's
kind of like the door's been open, right?
Yes.
And you're like, what? Now what?
Right.
Yeah, like if we can do this, why can't we do this? We can do this, why can't we do this?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Obviously spinal injuries and mental health stuff is what I entered in really serving. And now we're noticing, like, holy crap, our diabetic patients, the neuropathy is going away. Like all of these amazing things for each and every, thing that somebody's dealing with. And most of them, it's like we didn't even know they were really dealing with it. They just started doing the breath because they felt really, really good. And they were like, I've also been dealing with type 1 diabetes since I was 10, and now the neuropathy's gone.
Really?
Like, oh my God, this is amazing.
You got this amazing thing. You're trying to get it out to people.
Yeah.
Where ideally do you want to get this? Is this something you want doctors to be teaching, recommending? You want it in hospitals? What is the ideal?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's the eventuality of where I see this going, this being in hospitals. Of course, it doesn't take away doctors. We need doctors. We need surgical interference every now and then. It's why I'm studying to become a neuropsychologist, because I understand we need doctors. We need medicine. It's just making that shift back to the things that we can do to shift health and upregulate health before it's an issue. So yeah, I'd love to see this in hospitals. We're working on getting in with the TAPS program, which is Transition Assistance Program for the military.
Okay.
So we can make this like a required thing before you get out.
Either one, right?
Yes.
For high performance,
yeah,
like special forces.
Absolutely.
But then also getting out.
Exactly.
And then also while you're in there.
Yes.
Yeah, that alone is huge.
Yeah, that would be huge for our operators. And then, of course, like you said.
And I feel like the military is a lot more open for this thing than hospitals would be.
Yeah, I think so as well. That might be a little tougher sell for some of the mainstream hospitals.
And then professional athletes. So in Australia, we have jiu-jitsu coaches for our football teams.
Yeah.
Black belt jiu-jitsu coaches to help tackle better.
Yes.
Why not add a breath work?
I don't see why not. In fact, it was funny. I was talking with our COO and we were discussing the possibility of being Raiders breath coach. Or
why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because what they don't like is the money.
Right.
And it's anything to have that extra edge.
Yeah.
I mean, you get all these athletes are doing these crazy things with this extra edge. And if it's even as 0.5% more, right. It's worth it, right?
Right, exactly, yeah.
That's crazy. So there's so many different things.
Yeah.
What else can you kind of tell me? What else? I've asked you a lot of questions.
Yeah.
What's some stuff I might have missed or you want to kind of share?
I think we've pretty much covered like the big piece of it. A lot of what we do as well is it's called the welcome home method because it's a mixture of that episodic breath. And then there's also neuro-linguistic programming that's in there as well, which is super important. Because as far as psychology goes, 95% of everything we do is based on an unconscious program that we're just always running, right?
Really?
And that program is shifted by us consciously as we make decisions moving through life, right? So the body's such a survival expert that it will just take over and run these programs so you can move on and continue on with your life. So inside of these practices, we have neuro-linguistic, very specific ways to help shift that programming, which is why it's so huge for mental health, because then we're building in and helping establish that worthiness inside of somebody that's either depressed or coming out of the military, can't really find their way of being inside of the world type of thing,
Talk to me a little bit more about that. Like the suicide side, the depression side.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a big piece. It's actually what helped me get into it because Dad, who was Special Forces as well, was one of our 22 suicides a day. So when he did that, that's when I noticed, all right, dude, you got to get out there and do something.
Really?
Dude, yeah, you got to do something. Your own pop, offed himself. And you're doing all these things that have helped you. Now it's time to bring it into the arena, help your brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So it's huge in the mental health.
So you got such a true purpose. Such a
this
deep.
Was all because of Pops.
Yeah, I mean it's very deep for you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's to watch the shift. In fact, we just last month another veteran brother came on, had the plan, knew where they were going to go, had it all planned out, and then got a hold of the breath practice. And within 15 minutes was like, dude, I've never felt like this before in my life. I'm never not going to do this. And now he's one of our biggest advocates that's out there helping other veterans do the breath work. And it's like completely shifted his life. So it's amazing to watch the mental health side of this above anything else. I mean, everything else is so cool, but that's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the male side.
Yeah.
Something that it's like, how do you get more people to do it?
Right.
Try it, experience it.
Right.
That's probably the biggest
that's the key.
Roadblock right now, right?
Exactly. Once you get the juice, once you taste the juice, it's hard not to not want to do it.
Yeah, because I've done it a couple times and it's definitely opened my eyes, and now I feel myself drawn to it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it more and more.
I love it.
And then with that's what I was going to ask you. Daily habits, things that you do on a consistent basis.
Sure.
What are your habits?
Yeah. So if of course you're using the breath work to shift your state, right? So once I'm in that very relaxed state, you're more programmable. That's when I'll do positive affirmations. I'll look at myself in the mirror and blast out all the things that might feel weird for somebody to say. I love you. You're fucking awesome. All those amazing things. Yeah. But that's one of the biggest pieces is constantly talking to yourself because your brain records all that. And that bases the program. So the more that you shift the program on a daily basis with those small little habits, tell yourself the things that you want to feel, what you want to be, then those are the things that you're going to run as your program versus everything else.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then what else are you doing? You're doing the breath, you're doing the positive affirmations.
Positive affirmations. I move my body in the morning, whether that's yoga or some sort of extreme exercise.
Okay.
Something to force the body into that state of repair, which is good. We need to stretch. We need to pull the muscle fibers.
We need to move.
Yes, we need to move. Exactly.
Move, so.
Yeah, you got to oil those hinges.
Yeah.
So some sort of motion for at least 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do cold therapy?
Yeah. Love cold therapy.
How do you do it? How often do you do it?
So I do it every day as far as when I get in. I don't take warm showers anymore. I just, bam.
So you just do cold
showers?
Yeah,
just crank it right onto cold. And, there's a little whoa every day.
Every single day?
Yeah.
I've done
there
it
it
for
is.
6 years.
It's a surprise every time, right?
Every single day. Every damn day. And then the cold plunges I fight every day mentally. But here I am, sucking it up. And
I love it.
Have you done many cold plunges?
I have, yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
I do at least 2 a month, and I love the cold plunges. And it's funny because after 3 years of doing it, same thing. I still have to fight myself getting it.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's so funny, right? When you're really honest with yourself, I don't need to do it. I'll do it later.
Yes.
Or a little bit rushed this morning. Or you come up with every excuse under the sun. And then once you're in 10, 15 seconds, you're good.
Yeah.
You're actually
You want to stay longer.
Yeah, you're actually fine.
Yeah.
But it's just that 10, 15 seconds.
It is.
It's just like...
I say it all the time. This thing can be lazy, and this thing is a fucking liar. Just
I like that.
Get in the water.
Yeah, and it's so silly because nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares if you do it or not, but you care.
Yeah, you're running through all these stories in your head.
And then that thing, it comes up a lot on this podcast, is confidence is built by keeping promises to ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you promise to yourself, this is now a daily ritual, or the cold shower, it's amazing how rewarding it can be if you keep that promise to yourself and your confidence grows. But if you don't do it, you beat yourself up, and it's nuts.
It's not fun. It's the biggest red flag your body will throw up, because it's like, you're not aligned with what you really want to do, type of thing.
That's so fun to meditate. If I don't meditate for a couple of days, I'm starting to feel off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate to that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How do you explain that in your from your interpretation?
That is that shifting in the program, right? So if you're not going to program the body, if you're not going to shift its state, it will move based on whatever circumstantial information or whatever you've gone through experience-wise through the day. That will allow you to be at that vibrational state.
Gotcha.
So it's cumulative. Remember, whenever you do breath work or whenever you do meditation, you're cumulatively lowering that response into a more sympathetic or parasympathetic way of being, that relaxed state of being. So the moment you let it go, you know what I mean? It's like,
that's what it is.
Yes, I talk about all the time. The mind and the body is an epic garden. You step away from it for just a few hours and the weeds start to grow back.
Okay, so lately I've been feeling more stressed and more anxious, which I've never had before.
Yeah.
But is that because I'm bringing myself to a lower state, and then when I'm falling back to my normal state, I'm finding it stressful?
Yeah,
is that what's happening?
That's exactly what can happen, because now things are shifting for you. And then, of course, that normal, if not taken care of, if you don't do the meditation or the breath work, then you're riding at that higher frequency. It's just,
which is back where I've always been.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what happened last night. I literally felt the urge that I need to do this. As soon as I got in bed, I was like, this is on. Like, whatever it takes, this is... And now I'm good again, but...
I love it.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
See, and that's cool, because now you've programmed that response into the body. So it's like, that's part of the programming now. Perfect example of watching it shift and that cumulative effect. Like, you tuned in, you're like, oh yeah, no, this ain't happening. We're taking care of this.
Yeah, I'm not on TV, I'm not reading, I'm getting back to square one tomorrow morning. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so... someone right now, they've watched this, they may not be in Las Vegas. Yeah. What are the 5 minutes to 15 minutes a day you recommend in the morning?
Yeah, 15 minutes in the morning, super simple. We even have, there's like a 5 to 6 minute one that we have on the YouTube as well. Even if you just did 5 to 6 minutes, you're still going to get a good couple of rounds of breath. But,
and what's the YouTube channel?
It's the Willful Warrior.
Okay.
So type in the Willful Warrior and you'll find us on YouTube. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
That was an absolute pleasure. I'm very excited. Yeah, that was great.
Same. Thank you.